cravings. They are a totally normal human thing and also the derailer of many a diet plan. I'm Heather and I help women feel well. I've got 20 years experience and I've helped literally hundreds of clients achieve consistent changes to their diets and create sustainable exercise routines. And in this video, we are going to talk about cravings. We can feel really controlled by them. We're going to talk about what might be going on and we're going to talk about my strategy for dealing with them. So, first, let's define a craving. A craving is for something specific. You sometimes feel it in your throat or in your neck. It tends to be much more up in your body. It tends to come with a real urgency to answer it as well, compared to real hunger, which is generally for nothing in particular. You generally feel it in your tummy, a little rumbly, empty kind of feeling, and it's not really an urgent feeling. You can cope with being hungry for a little while, whereas a craving, as we say, is a really urgent thing. Your body really feels like it needs to be answered right now. So let's think about when a craving happens. This is quite a useful thing to think about in your own mind, because if we can get to the source of the problem, we can head a craving off ahead of time. We can learn something about ourselves and use that information to make better plans for how we can move forwards in the future. So, cravings often come when we are feeling something or we want to do something. So it might be that we want to celebrate something. It might be that we're commiserating something. It might be that we want to feel comfort. It might be that you're trying to avoid a feeling. It might be that you're trying to avoid doing something. It might be that you're trying to fill a gap. You're trying to fill some boredom. Possibly you're medicating some stress, medicating some anxiety. And sometimes eating or drinking something in particular can kickstart a whole load of cravings. For me, if I have one chocolate, a whole lot of it's gone. I have no off switch for it. So that for me, that bit of chocolate triggers off a whole food craving. Now, if we can correctly label what's going on, we must do it without judgment. Remember, we are looking for information here that allows us to do something different in the future. We're not looking to point fingers at ourselves and look for reasons that we're doing a bad job. We're looking to understand what is going on, because then you can go back to the source and figure out a different way to do something. Then I think it's really important to think about what we can do to make your life easier, because certain behaviours can kick off cravings, even things that you're doing every day, believing that they're really healthy actions. They can be contributing towards cravings. And a really big one is balancing out your blood sugars. So if we start the day with a super healthy bowl of granola or muesli, your body releases a whole load that brings a whole load of sugar into your body. Your body has to release a whole load of insulin in order to bring that sugar down and get the energy into your cells. Because it's such a lot of sugar from that very high carb, low protein, low fat breakfast, your blood sugars then drop a long way down. And a couple of hours after you've had that nice healthy bowl of muesli or granola, you might start to feel a craving, feel super hungry, feel shaky, something along those lines. So then you might reach for a healthy piece of fruit or a healthy cereal bar. And that does the same thing again. It shoots your blood sugars up. Your body has to release lots of insulin in order to bring them back down again. And then the cycle continues. They call that the blood sugar roller coaster. So if we are on that, we are much more likely to be getting cravings. The other thing is that stress hormones are released when we're at this bottom part of the roller coaster, that sort of hungry, shaky, craving kind of zone. That releases a whole load of stress hormones into your system as well. Stress in itself can kick off a blood sugar roller coaster as well. So even if you are not eating an inappropriate amount of carbs in your diet, if you are super stressed, your body will be on this blood sugar roller coaster anyway. So managing what you're eating and making sure that each meal has plenty of protein, it has a serving of fat, and it does have a small, maybe a cupped palmful size portion of starchy carbs or fruit with it. If we're doing that, we balance our blood sugars, that takes some heat out of the whole situation. Equally, managing stress can take some heat out of the whole situation as well. The other thing that's worth thinking about is whether you might have a food intolerance. So that might be mild digestive issues after you've eaten something. It could be more severe, but generally something quite mild. It could be that you notice that you feel really tired after you've eaten a particular thing, or it just makes you feel not great. A food intolerance can kick off a food craving because the food intolerance requires stress hormones to be released. That then creates this blood sugar roller coaster that we're talking about, and that in itself is a good environment for creating cravings. Dehydration is another really big thing. If you have not got enough water or electrolytes in your system, so sodium, magnesium and potassium, which we also lose as part of the sort of getting dehydrated process. If we don't have enough of those, that can contribute to food cravings because your body is just simply looking for more hydration, more water and more of these minerals as well. The other thing is if your body is low on protein or low in certain vitamins and minerals, that can contribute towards cravings because again, your body is looking for more nutrition. So it's really worth making sure we're plugging the easy gaps and eating in an appropriate, balanced way as well. So now, hopefully we know what's going on the emotions front to try to trigger cravings. And we know how important balancing our blood sugars is through those various different aspects to make this easier from a physical point of view. Now we come to sort of tricks for what we do in the heat of the moment. And the best thing you can possibly do is find a way to put some space between the craving and your reaction to the craving. So this means finding an obstacle or an action to slow down your reaction to a craving. Remember we said earlier how urgently a craving feels like it has to be answered. I'm craving some chocolate, quick, I've got to go and get some chocolate. If we can just slow that down a little bit, it gives you a chance to catch up. It gives you a chance to kind of go off the idea. And while this doesn't work every single time, it allows you to get conscious. It allows you to say, do I really want to go down this craving road? Is it worth the price that that's going to cost me? Because always these things have a price, you know, whether that's in terms of a weight loss goal or in terms of how energetic you're feeling or in terms of a kind of chronic health condition that you might have going on as well. There's always a price to pay. And sometimes it's worth it. You know, I'm always at pains to say that we don't eat only for nutrition. Sometimes we eat to celebrate something or to connect with family and friends. And I think sometimes it's okay to go a little bit off track. But how can we put this barrier in place to slow you down between need to eat some chocolate and have eaten some chocolate? Well, let's think about only having food in the house that you want to eat. So if you fancy some chocolate, we're not going to say you can't eat it. We're going to say that's fine. If you fancy some chocolate, you've got to go to the shops to go and buy some. And when you do buy some, you only buy a single serving. Equally, if your craving is for biscuits, again, that's fine. But a barrier could be, I've got to bake them myself. If you are always putting that slow down, that pain in the bum kind of aspect in between that craving and the action, a lot of the time you will find that you go off the craving, and some of the time you'll go, actually, I really do fancy a biscuit. Actually, so-and-so's coming on. I would really like to sit down and connect with them over a cup of tea with a biscuit. That's worth that price to me. Now, other things we can think about might be going for a walk. So I really fancy a biscuit, but before I give in to that biscuit, I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. It might be before I give in to that biscuit, I'm going to make sure I drink a glass of water, or I'm going to get some protein. None of those ideas are prescriptive. You can come up with your own ideas. There's nothing magical in those particular ones. I just wanted to give you some examples of how that might work for you, what you could do to put that gap in there. Okay, I hope this leaves you feeling kind of empowered to take some actions to deal with your cravings. There are no quick fixes here, but I would bet that you would see a difference in your cravings within a week, and the longer that you manage to exercise this action, this change of approach, the easier it will get. So good luck, and please remember to report back. I'd love to hear how you get on.